Old School Bodybuilding Clothing Company. If it's been 3.5 hours since you last ate protein and now you're starting to freak out, you are old school. If watching someone sit on a hammer machine for 5 minutes between sets playing with their phone pisses you off, you are definitely old school. OSBBC.com for the hardest training athletes.
I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body, and that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution.
After working hard at the gym, you need a mattress that works as hard as you do. Spinaline has engineered the perfect mattress for you and your active lifestyle. Don't compromise your recovery with inferior sleep. Order your Spinaline mattress today.
Hey guys, we're super excited to be here at the LA Fit Expo. It's our third year in a row. And what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be launching a tasty pastry. It's a low-carb Pop-Tart. It's got 3 to 4 grams of net carbs. And we love this show. This is our best place to be in LA.
RX Television on RxMuscle.com. This is Ask Dave, better known as hashtag Ask Dave, your 30-minute question and answer show with Dave Palumbo. All your questions, diet, training, supplementation, IFBB pros, news, whatever's on your mind, bodybuilding or otherwise, is all on the table. So we now bring in Dave Palumbo. Dave, we were just joking about this a little while ago, but we had a really funny filming of an episode that's going to go up tomorrow. Iron Rage. Lee Priest, of all people, disclosing whether or not he's going to get vaccinated.
Yeah, and you guys will be shocked by the answer. Maybe you won't be shocked by the answer. You know, in Australia, they actually have and I think they're trying to do this in New York, believe it or not. In conjunction with your passport, it'll actually say if you're vaccinated or not. It's pretty crazy. So when they scan your passport, you know, when you're traveling internationally, it'll come up whether you're vaccinated, and which makes it easier, I guess, if to come in and out of Australia for Lee. But a lot of people don't want to be tagged like that. I heard they want to do that in New York now, where if you can't travel to New York unless you're going to be vaccinated. Did you? Crazy.
It's the new world that we live in right now. But that episode of Iron Rage going up tomorrow on the channel. We have a brand new episode last night of After Hours. Maybe not as wacky as some of the last few episodes, but I was telling Dave actually before we went on air, we had Carlo Filippone on the episode as well, and he brings a really good perspective in my opinion. I think he does a really good job balancing out some of the craziness. Obviously, he's got a lot of great stories in and of himself. Yeah. He's trained with some of the biggest names in all of bodybuilding. Ronnie Coleman, fed Roddy Coleman. Now he owns one of the biggest meal prep companies out there. But he brought up an interesting angle about some of the celebrities that you would see at Gold's Gym in the 90s. So, whenever we put up stories, any videos pertaining to stories of, the old legendary tales of Gold's Gym, I don't know, a lot of you hardcore bodybuilding fans appreciate those kind of stories, but there was a different take on it sort of the celebrity angle and some of the people that you used to see in the heyday of Gold's Gym Bennett. So check that out after hours on the channel, as well as an all-new episode of the Heavy Muscle Radio Show. Second week in a row that it's been Dave, Chris Aceto, John Romano. Again, they went live, and I know that's been received very well by the audience. Very appreciative of the perspectives that the three of them bring, and then, of course, the ability to interact live with the panel during the show. So check those out right now on the channel after hours in an all-new episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. So go to the questions. The first two questions, of course, from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. The first question, how much sun is too much, and how does sun age the skin badly? Does sunscreen contain bad chemicals? And if so, what can I take instead?
Yeah. I just want to say the thing about the Dave Palumbo Experience app. This is for people who will go on either the Android or iTunes store and download the app, and it's $29 a month. You get access to everything I've ever written, all the videos I do are in one place. We put up a workout every week. I do an exclusive Q&A video every single week for the app only, and I answer everyone's questions on the app in a generalized form. So people see this as a great learning tool. It has nothing to do with my coaching, my monthly coaching, or my coaching packages. It's a separate type of deal. A lot of my clients who I coach also do the app. Some people just do the app. Some people just do the coaching, but this is definitely, if you're looking to learn on a continual basis, it's a really good tool. It's very affordable. As far as the sun goes, this is a good question, Sid. I'll tell you why. Because when I was in New York, I could lay out in the sun, a couple days, 5-6 days a week if I wanted to, for an hour and get a nice tan and not worry about it. You do that here in Florida, you're going to get skin cancer because the sun is so much stronger down here. And the rate of skin cancer down in Florida is way, way higher. So you got to really put on your sunblock if you're going to stay outside. Now, I go out, I'm not outside all the time. I don't really sun myself, but I'll go in the pool with the kids. Cool, pool with the kids. I'll go in the pool with the kids, yeah. And what I'll find is that even if we're out there for an hour or so, or even less, I come in, I'm tan, and I'm not even trying to get tan. So if I'm outside doing some stuff in the yard, it could be for 20 minutes. I come in and I'll take my shirt off and I'll see a tan line. So once again, it really depends on where you are. Now I'm not, I've had some questionable, little things frozen off my face. They weren't skin cancer per se, but I only got them when I came to Florida. Okay, I started getting stuff like that. Weird, I never had anything in New York, and I used to lay out in the sun in New York. So if you're prone, if it runs in your family, if you have fair skin, always wear sunblock. A hat on the head, especially if you live down south here, that'll really help as well. It's really the face that's the most vulnerable, but people who get skin cancer get it all over in the body. If you, like I said, if you burn, you're much more likely to get it. But even if you're not, you can still be prone. Having said that, though, the sun is also good for you because it does induce vitamin D production in the body. So I think, once again, a moderate amount, I think, is okay, and it has to depend on your skin type and where in the country you are. The good news is if you really want to get tan quickly down here in Florida, you can lay out for 15 minutes a day. You could do literally 7 to 10 minutes on each side, and I'm telling you, in a week you'll have a tan. That's how quick it is. But at the same time, if you're one of these people that likes to be outside all day long, like I have my guys who do the lawn here, they're covered from wrist to ankle with long sleeves not because of anything other than they don't want to get skin cancer. I mean, that's because they're outside all day long. So you have to really take that into account. There's a lot of variables.
Second question, again from the Dave Palumbo Experience app. How long after a PCT protocol should I wait for blood work to test my test levels?
I always say that it takes about 3 to 4 weeks for your levels to really drop down, because I think the long-acting testosterone esters can last up to about 3 weeks. They're not going to be at peak levels, but they'll last. Whenever I try to get my levels down to as low as possible, I always notice around the 4-week mark, that's pretty reliable to get them back to baseline. So if you're even on the longest acting testosterone, I'm not talking about the pellets or anything like that, or the Nebido shot. I'm talking about an Anth8 or Cypionate or something to that degree. Your levels should drop down by the 4-week mark, even if you're on PCT. PCT gets your body producing its own, but very rarely does it spike your levels up super high. So like a lot of guys who do HRT, they have to go to the HRT doctor every 6 months to get retested, and they may have been doing a cycle or something like that in addition to their HRT. And I always tell them, go off the cycle at least 3 to 4 weeks before. You can stay on your HRT dose if you want or not, and then get retested. So that seems to be the window.
Let's go to our Instagram questions. Again, if you're not already following us on Instagram, our handle is official_RxMuscle. If you're watching us for the first time on YouTube, hit the subscribe button below, hit the notification bell. You're not going to miss any of our upcoming shows, segments. As mentioned, we have all new episodes of Heavy Muscle Radio right now, after hours from last night, and then, of course, going live tomorrow, all new episode of Iron Rage with Lee Priest. Let's go to, let me see, we get similar redundant questions. Neil Zalewski, not bodybuilding related. If you could raise any species of snake without worrying of getting bitten, what species would you choose?
Loaded question. Well, you know what? One of my favorite species really was the Burmese python, because I loved a big snake, and they're very, very mellow. They don't bite. You know, when they get older, they're like almost like dogs. You know, and unfortunately, Florida just banned them, so I'm selling all my Burmese pythons that I have. I don't have that many of them because they're big snakes, but I have enough that I'm really upset about it. So that would definitely be one of the ones I would want to keep. But you know, you got to. I'm a law-abiding citizen nowadays. Back in the day, maybe I would have listened, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. So that's one. But if you're talking about like venomous like snakes, I probably, you know, black mambas are really kind of cool. You know, there's some really interesting pit vipers. Eyelash vipers are really cool. These are things, once again, if you get bit, you can die from them. So I would never keep them. Not only because I have kids, but because I am accident prone. I spill shit all the time. I would get bit and I would die. And I know experienced keepers that get bit. They don't die, but I mean, you could lose a finger. You know, if they're necrotic, some of these venoms, neurotoxic. It's not something I want to mess with. But if I didn't have to worry about all that, the coolest snake of all time, however, you know, if I have to be realistic, would be a king cobra. There's only one that I know of. There's what's called a leucistic king cobra. It's a white snake with black eyes, and you know, the king cobra is the biggest cobra that there is. And Kevin McCurley over at Nerd, which is up in New England, reptile keepers there, distributors, he has the snake. He brought it in from Africa. The snake's amazing. It's so crazy looking. Now, there are leucistic, like monocled cobras and stuff like that are cool, but the king cobra is the biggest one. So that's the most majestic. Yeah, there it is. That's it right there. Insane looking. I mean, who wouldn't want that snake if you didn't have to worry about dying from it? You know, it's like the ultimate like display animal. You know, you have a big case when you walk into your office, and you get this freaking big leucistic, you know, king cobra there. That's got to be the pinnacle for me, at least, of snake keeping.
Interesting one here. I know we teased towards the beginning of the episode how tomorrow's episode of Iron Rage, we talked about Lee Priest and whether or not he's getting vaccinated. Kevin Connor wants to know the best supplement protocol to use after taking the vaccine.
Well, once you take the vaccine, it doesn't even matter anymore, you know, because theoretically, you know, you're immune, right? Who knows? You know, they're saying now that you could be a carrier if you're still vaccinated. I'm not sold on the whole vaccine working thing. I'm sold on vaccines. I mean, look, if they got a vaccine that's 99% effective, I'm taking that vaccine, especially if it doesn't have any long-term effects. I don't like that these vaccines are not that effective, you know, and I don't think that they were tested for a very long period of time. So I think what they're doing is all the people that are being vaccinated now, that's where they're going to collect all their data from. And I don't want to be part of some class action lawsuit in 5 years because I have some kind of permanent, you know, issue with my immune system, you know, especially coming off, like I'm still dealing with thyroid cancer. I certainly don't want to subject my immune system to something that might be foreign. Personally, I like the idea of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine better because it's a DNA. It's like a dead-end virus. Basically, it's like the old way they used to vaccinate against pretty much every other virus out there. Whereas the Moderna one and the Pfizer vaccine, they seem to use this messenger RNA, which is basically kind of editing your genes, you know, and you're going to start expressing this spike protein, you know, and then your body's immune system is going to launch a response against it. But for how long do you express the spike protein? For the rest of your life? I don't know. It just doesn't seem like something that I want being done, you know, altered in my DNA sequencing. I don't want to change my genes because I don't think anyone knows what the ramifications long term of that. That's not to say that if you're in a high risk person where you're on the front lines, you're in the healthcare professional field, you're someone who's exposed to a lot of people. For those people, the idea of being vaccinated and not having a risk of getting this disease on a regular basis, because remember, you can get this more than once. I think for those people, they need to be vaccinated. It's just a matter of which vaccine do you choose. And I'm of the idea right now that, I don't really go anywhere. So for me, I could wait. I'm not in a high risk area. Also, I'm still dealing with, obviously, with the cancer issue, which is which could be considered an immune, deficiency in some sense. So I'm going to wait and watch at this point. As far as supplements you're going to take after the vaccine, I don't think it's going to change. You should still be taking your multivitamin, multi-mineral, high potency with chelated minerals. You should be taking your essential fatty acid supplement. You should be taking a glucosamine supplement like Arthrolyze. I just did a video on this, very interesting research out about glucosamine and the effects of longevity and reduction in cardiovascular mortality from this stuff. Great supplement. But these are things that you should always be taking on a regular basis. They're the ones you take every single day type of stuff. Whether you're on taking a vaccine or you're not taking a vaccine, these are the ones that you should just incorporate into your protocol, like you brush your teeth every day, or I take my contact lenses out every day, or you wash your hair and take a shower. That routine never changes. And if you can somehow incorporate a supplement routine that works for you on a daily basis, you're going to be a healthier person long term for it. I can promise you that.
Let's go to Muscle HDD. I've recently been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. Your thoughts on using anabolics as a diabetic?
Probably, I don't even know what the statistics are on it, but I see so many people who are having blood sugar control issues, people who eat clean, people who are not overweight. A lot of these people have a family history of it, and it seems to rear its head late 30s, early 40s. That's when people start to notice that their fasting blood sugars are rising, they're having blood sugar control issues. And that's the time you should really attack it. Now, having said that, personally, I have not seen anabolic steroids negatively affecting insulin sensitivity or insulin production in the body whatsoever, okay? I'm talking about anabolic steroids. We know that growth hormone can antagonize insulin and can absolutely make you insulin resistant because of that. So that's something that you obviously would want to avoid, or at least high dosage of it, if you have blood sugar control issues. But as far as anabolics go, I don't think you have to worry about that. That's really not going to have an effect on blood sugar control. Matter of fact, it might make it better because it's increasing metabolic rate a little bit, and obviously if you're utilizing your calories that you're eating and your carbs that you're eating more efficiently and at a higher rate, you're going to reduce blood sugar, obviously, indirectly. So, and obviously working out, we know, sensitizes insulin receptors and lowers blood sugars as well. I noticed a huge difference when I got my shoulders replaced. I couldn't work out for 12 weeks, and during that 12 weeks, I was noticing a slightly higher blood sugars in the morning, and my blood sugar control wasn't ideal. And when I went back to working out, even though I'm only doing maybe a 35, 45 minute workout at night, 4 or 5 days a week, my blood sugar control got perfect after that. So there's definitely a correlation with that. As far as anabolics, I wouldn't worry about it.
Relentless Lucas wants to know, blending meals, is it the same as eating a regular meal? So, I guess if you want to expand upon it in the sense of, the benefits, perceived benefits, I know some do it to reduce irritation in their GI. If you want to go into the benefits of blending a meal, as far as in opposed to eating.
Most people will blend a meal because it's easier to get down. They can just pour it down their throat, because when you're trying to put mass on, it's really hard to eat a lot of food. And when you get to a certain point, you just don't want to eat anymore. If you don't get those meals down, you're not growing. You might actually go the other direction. So we've all resorted to it probably. You try to put your stuff in the blender, right? You put your chicken and your rice and blend it up with a little apple juice, something like that, and gulp it down. And it's horrendous. I hate drinking meals. The only thing I can blend and actually get down are eggs. Those seem to be okay, but whole foods just do not taste good to me. But I have a lot of people who tell me that they don't mind it. So there's nothing wrong with blending. Think about when you eat something, the food will not leave your stomach until it's mush, basically. It's called chyme, C-H-Y-M-E. Chyme is basically liquefied food. When it gets into that liquefied state, then your stomach will pump the stuff into your small intestines, and then it starts getting, it finishes its digestion and starts getting assimilated into your bloodstream. So by drinking your food or liquefying it already, you're just making it easier to digest in your stomach. It'll go through your stomach a lot faster. Now, that's the one risk you have. Some people who have maybe a little bit of a irritable bowel or a little bit of a something that, their bowel moves too fast to begin with, sometimes using a liquid, it can go through you so fast that you don't absorb all the food. But if that's not the issue with you, and as long as you're including some fats in there, fats will slow the transit of that down. So if you're going to use like chicken and rice in a blender, you might want to put a little macadamia nut oil in there, and just because the fat will slow the transit of that stuff a little bit. But the assimilation should be very similar.
Good one here, and this is one that bodybuilders are a lot more open, obviously, nowadays, as far as their YouTube channels, what they're eating all season during contest prep. And one of the things that they often talk about are some of the seasoning spices that they will not use in season, that they're a lot more liberal with during the off season. What spices and seasonings should you stay away from when dieting? I like to use garlic powder and onion powder on my chicken and steak. Is this something that should be avoided while dieting? And I guess during your career, what would you cut out while dieting?
Yeah, I would cut out anything with carbs in it, because carbs and seasonings and condiments add hidden calories. So that would be ketchups or even sugar-free ketchups, because sugar-free ketchup is still made up of tomatoes, so that's got carbs in it. You want to stay away from honeys, anything sweet, unless it's sweet because they're using stevia or sucralose or something like that. So you got to really read your ingredient lists. I know I've been saying it. I'm going to come out on a course on how to read labels properly. I promise you, it's going to happen. I got to put all my stuff together. I like to do things, very complete. But the bottom line is that you got to read your ingredients and stay away from anything that has carbs in it, hidden. Even barbecue sauces are the worst, okay? There's no such thing as a carb-free barbecue sauce, I promise you. I know Walden Farms says that they have 0 calorie. It doesn't matter how many thousands of ingredients in there, they say it's 0 calories. I would stay away from them. I always find that people don't lose weight on those products. But you can do any spices you want. Spices like garlic and onion powders and paprikas and pepper and salt. There's no calories there. You can do whatever you want with that. There's no problem with that. It's when you start getting into the sweets, that's when you have issues, okay? Read the ingredient list. I always have, like, my clients that are not losing weight, I have them do food diaries to me, and I have them send me, if they're using condiments, send me the labels. As soon as I read the ingredient list, I know immediately if they're screwing up or not. And a lot of them don't even know it. I swear, I don't think people are doing it like purposely being just dumb. I think they just don't know because they don't bother to read the label. They see this hot sauce, or they see this, seasoning, and it tastes delicious, and it's just a powder, right? How could it be screwing my diet up? Meanwhile, they're using a lot of it, or they're using a sauce, and it's got carbs in it, and it adds up because they're eating 5 or 6 times a day, and they're putting, 4 servings of the sauce on it every single meal, and yeah, it tastes delicious. It makes it go down a lot easier, but you know what? You're screwing your diet up. So you're cooking all this food, you're doing everything right, and then you're sabotaging everything because you're using some kind of a condiment that you shouldn't be using. So read your ingredients, nothing with extra carbs in it.
Jordan Glosser, how many Olympias will Big Ramy win?
I think that Big Ramy's future is really going to be dictated by Big Ramy. He doesn't have any weaknesses really at this point. He's got more muscle than anyone. He's got good structure. When he's in shape, his muscles separate really well. He showed that last year. I mean, he could be better than he was last year, so he can still be even better than he was. I think if he's not afraid of suffering and he's willing to go into that zone like Ronnie did and Dorian did, where death does not scare him, and I'm talking about death not from doing stupid stuff. I'm saying death in terms of like suffering aspect of it, because when you get down to those last couple of weeks, you feel like you're going to die sometimes. You just feel like I don't even feel like I'm alive. I feel like a robot. I feel like when I sit down, it hurts because I have no fat on my glute. It's an uncomfortable feeling. And some people cannot deal with uncomfortable. They want to feel good. They want to be relieved from that. Other people, myself included, somehow enjoy the torture of the whole aspect and how much can I challenge myself to get that one little iota leaner that I can get. And I think with Chad pushing him and Dennis kind of, there as moral support, I think they'll get Ramy even better. So I think Ramy will dictate how many times Ramy wins the Olympia. As long as he can go to that place of uncomfortableness once a year, no one's going to beat him at the Olympia. I don't see anyone close to him at this point. However, if he does come in a little off because maybe he had some family issues or things were not going well or he couldn't make it out, now he leaves the door open. You get a guy like a Sean Roden who has an amazing structure, comes in shredded. He could lose to a guy like that. Ruli Winkler pulls it all together, comes in. He's freaky, big, and hard too. And and Ramy's off. He could lose. So I think that Ramy's fate rests in Ramy's hands now. He's at the top of the mountain, as Arnold would say. If he wants to bring it, and he's going to bring a better look each time he comes out there, and he's going to bring supreme conditioning, no one beats him.
Iron Legionnaire Dave, what protocol is best? HCG on cycle post or just post cycle?
Taking HCG while you're on a cycle, there's nothing wrong with that. And, it's keeping your body working. It's not really adding anything to the cycle in terms of gains, but it's keeping your testicles working in a sense. What that means, I don't know necessarily, because the testicles can be not working for 5 years and you can turn them back on in a month or two. But if some people feel good, they get a better sex drive, maybe the actual act of producing sperm and testosterone in that area in your testicular region actually has some kind of a stimulating effect so that some people have a better sex drive, and that's why they use it. Either way, it doesn't matter, because if you're using it after you get off the cycle to kind of turn your body back on, it's going to turn your body back on. If you use it after the cycle and use it during the cycle, it's still going to have the same effect. It's not going to turn your body back on any more than it would if you didn't use the stuff. So, as I say, I never used HCG during a cycle, and I never needed it. I never had a problem with it, and yet, 15 years after I stopped cycling, and went off HRT, I have 3 kids. So it's a science experiment, really, is what it is. And it really is a personalized type of situation. Some people like it, some people don't. Some people want to use it, some people don't. There's no right or wrong answer.
Let's go to Nicola Gangula. Again, if you're following us if you're subscribed to our YouTube channel yesterday, we put up a video that Dave actually put up on his Instagram a few days back. It was Dave from the 1995 NPC Junior Nationals, where he would take the heavyweight crown. So kind of leads us naturally into this question. What is the best year or specific show in your mind where you think you look the best?
I liked the way I felt on stage in the 90s because I had no injuries. Like 96, 95 when I won the juniors, I don't think I hit my peak in terms of muscle size and shape. I think I still was a little shallow in certain areas, calves, and my back could have been a little better. And so I think that I was still improving. I think 96 was a really good look for me. That was the year that Jay won the heavyweight class. I was 4th that year. And Willie Stalling, who beat me at Junior Nationals, actually beat Jay at the Nationals that year. I thought I looked really good there. I thought 97 I was good. When I was 5th, I didn't even make the first call out, but I still got 5th place. So I thought those were good years to me. And then probably the look where my muscles were the most mature, round, and separated was 2002 and 2003, which was the last couple of years I competed. That's when I placed 2nd at the Nationals in USA, and I think I had a 3rd, 2/3 in there as well, because I think I just had I had more years of training under me. So, but I had injuries, and I couldn't bring my shoulder back to hit a bicep like this. I couldn't do that. I was like this, and I've seen other competitors like that because my shoulders, the cartilage wasn't there anymore, and the shape of the head of the humerus wasn't round, and it wouldn't roll in the joint. So I was fighting, it was distorting how I was looking. I couldn't control my body well on stage because I couldn't move. So even though my physique looked the best, if you look at the pictures that Per Bernal took of me in those years, those are the ones that are up online. They're wacky looking, the crazy glute and hamstring separation, everything like that, because I had a very mature look to my physique. I just couldn't perform and do what I wanted to on stage because of the pain in my shoulders and because of the lack of mobility there. But I had that mobility back in the 90s. I just didn't have the look. So, in a perfect world, if I could have combined both of them together, I think that would have been the ideal look. So probably 03 USA, I felt that was the show I should have won. Got my pro card. I came in second there behind Chris Cook, who was off. That probably was the show I should have won. And then I would probably go back to, like I said, 96 Nationals was a pretty freaky look for me as well. So 03, let's say 03 USA.
That is going to do for this episode of Ask Dave. A reminder, tomorrow, Iron Rage, all new episode of Iron Rage with Lee Priest. Right now on the channel, all new episodes of Heavy Muscle Radio and After Hours. For Tyler Shore and Dave Palumbo, I'm Sadiq Faruqi. We'll see you next time.